Welcome back, guys. It's been a second since I've recorded, and I don't know why that was. I got really ahead before, and I batch recorded a bunch of episodes, and then I got behind, and here we are, and it's 7 a.m., and I'm recording. So sorry if my voice doesn't sound that amazing, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe it'll be a little bit more raw, not necessarily thought out episode, which sometimes those turn out better. If you notice, we got an upgrade to the gear. I got this wind cover. It was a simple upgrade. It was like $20, but it'll make a big difference. I think. I guess I'll hear whenever this audio comes back and see if it actually works. But in theory, it's supposed to keep out all those pops and those little cracks that you might have heard in the past couple episodes, especially whenever I was holding the microphone. This will really adjust that. This does kind of the same thing as whenever you see a lav mic. It has that little windscreen or just a normal microphone that somebody might sing into, like on stage. That metal windscreen, it does the same thing. So it should be a little bit better. I'm still kind of figuring out audio. I haven't worked with it a whole lot. But, slowly but surely I'll dial it in and we'll be good to go. But today we're talking about what I did this past weekend, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the process of it, and it's running my half marathon. I guess I'll backtrack and say that I didn't necessarily really enjoy it, but it taught me some lessons, and it really taught me about how to kind of conquer my mind. So let's rewind and go back to early January. I was sitting at home and I didn't have that much to do. Usually it's a slow period of business, and I was talking to my roommate, Jordan, and he was saying that he wanted to run a half marathon. And at the time, I was like, absolutely not. This sounds horrible. Why would I want to do that? And then I was like, all right, like maybe if he's going and he booked a trip to Savannah, Georgia to do it. And I was like, oh, like that'd be fun. Go down to Savannah, run, and then hang out for a day. And it just so happened that I pretty much got convinced. That night I told him, I was like, all right, I'll run 3 miles tonight and we'll see how that goes, because this is going to dictate how this entire thing goes for me. So while he was in his night class, I went down to the apartment gym and I ran 3 miles, and it actually went pretty well. I was pretty shocked about it. I don't run very often. And right there, I was like, I feel like I could do this. And whenever I started training, it was tough. I was running probably about 3 miles a day, and I slowly increased that, and I would do long days on Saturdays. So I believe I had like 4 or 5 long days before the actual marathon. And I actually was really consistent with training. I was nervous about that because, I mean, who knows how it'll go. I never really ran over probably 3 miles before in my entire life. So this was a big change to run 13.1. So I did some research, texted some friends, asked Jordan since Jordan's done them before, and just kind of figured out a little program that might work for me. This program looked like Monday, Tuesday, I would run a shorter amount. Wednesday, I would crank it up a little bit. Thursday, I would go shorter amount. Thursday, I would still crank it up a little bit. Friday, I would just kind of do a softer day, maybe like 2 miles. And then Saturday, I would crank it and do my long days. Sunday would be off. So that's kind of what I ran with. And I would definitely change it up a little bit because I got tired. I got really tired in the second half. So fast forward to closer to the race. A couple days before, I get a text asking if I can go to Boston for a shoot. And of course, I'm not going to turn it down, but I told them that I had to be in Savannah by that Friday night to run on Saturday morning. No problem. So I went to Boston Thursday night, shot Friday morning, then flew down to Savannah Friday night. Originally, I was supposed to be in Savannah by like Friday late afternoon so that I could hang out, hydrate, get my nice meal in, and be ready for the next day. That's just not how the cards played. And that was a little bit annoying, and it was tough because it threw off my rhythm a ton. I was consistently training. I was consistently eating pretty well, fueling my body. But whenever you're traveling, it's hard to do that. It's hard to consistently fuel your body like you're used to. You're not cooking for yourself. You're eating out all the time. And you're not necessarily eating on a great schedule because you're working. So I ended up in Boston, and I got to Savannah at like midnight the night before the race. I didn't get to the hotel till like 12:30. So I get to the hotel at 12:30. Jordan and our buddy Sherrod, who ended up coming last minute, he's insane for that because he literally ran it with no training. But I got there at 12:30. I was hanging out with them and probably fell asleep by like 1-ish, 1:15. And then we were up at 6 and ready to go. And we ate a little bit of breakfast, and I'm not going to lie, I had the nervous shits, and that was kind of funny, but it came back to help me because the entire course didn't have any bathrooms. The 13 miles, which is longer than I ran the entire time, didn't have a single bathroom. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I had to stop, I'd be in trouble. I'd be like running into the woods or something. But whenever I was training, I didn't necessarily go up to 13 miles. Everyone said that to me, but I was kind of skeptical about it. Everyone was like, no, don't train up there. And I kind of get, don't go up to 13 because then the novelty of it's kind of gone. You can run 13 already. And it's not necessarily conquering any boundaries that you haven't done before. So I trained up to 10. That's what I was reading about. That's what people I knew were giving me advice for. So I trained up to 10. If I had to go back, I would have trained up to 12, and I would have run a couple 12 days because the back half of the race was hell. The first 7 miles, I never thought I would say this, but they were easy. I was cruising. I was probably running like at 8:15 pace. I was doing really well, and I really wasn't even tired. And this is because most of the days that I did when I was running 6 miles, 5 miles, pretty much every day. And yeah, I would go below that sometimes, but then the day after that, I would go up to my heavy day. So I would definitely recommend especially if you haven't run before and you're trying to find a training regimen that actually works for you, hike it up a little bit whenever you're doing your first race because it'll help you get through. As soon as I got around to the 8-mile mark, I started really struggling. And I actually had to drop back from Jordan and Sherrod. I didn't stop. My whole goal this entire time was just not to stop. I've never ran any races, and the one thing that I want to do is just say that I ran 13 miles without stopping once. So I knew that I needed to drop back from them if I actually wanted to finish this thing. And so I just let them go. It wasn't a big deal. I really didn't care about that at all. I wasn't trying to beat them in any way. The competitive part of myself would probably hate me for saying that. But, those are my boys. I just wanted them to finish. I wanted me to finish. None of us were there to break any records. It was pretty much just for me, like conquering something that I always told myself that I couldn't do. That's why I did this in the first place. I always told myself that I wasn't a runner. So here I am, and I guess I can say I'm kind of sort of a runner now. Not necessarily, but, I've ran more than most people. And whenever we were running and got to the 8-mile mark, I dropped back. I was just cruising, and I was actually listening to a Joe Rogan and David Goggins podcast throughout the entire thing. I was on the way to the race, and I saw it was 2 hours and 19 minutes, and I wanted to finish in under that. And I was like, all right, I'll throw this on, and I'll finish before it. No questions asked. So I did that, and I was running, and just started, dying those last 2 miles. I've never struggled that much. My legs were absolutely dead. I was sitting there thinking about walking all the time, but I was not about to start walking because that was my only goal, was to finish it without stopping. Even when I grabbed water, I wouldn't slow down to drink it. I would grab the water and try and pour some of this water that was in a plastic cup into my mouth. It wasn't very efficient, but, I just didn't want to stop. And I knew I was willing to really push myself to wherever I needed to. And granted, I ended up finishing, and I finished under 2 hours. I finished at an 8:31 pace, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect to do that. And this is the last thing I want to dive into, is that if you're training for a half and you're in a cold area, or if you're training for a marathon and you're in a cold area, it's okay to train on a treadmill. Everyone through my entire process was saying, oh, you're training on a treadmill and then you're running outside for the half. Like, you're going to struggle so much. But looking back on it, every single person that said that was not a runner. And that's just the truth of it. That is the annoying part about it, because the entire time I was like, but I'm training and I'm still running 10 miles. I'm still running 8 miles, It's not going to make that much of a difference. Yeah, I was sore after the half, and that probably had to do with the surface that I was running on. But when it comes to being in shape, it doesn't affect you that much. That's my opinion after running this thing, and I would actually say that to anyone. Don't listen to somebody who hasn't necessarily run, because at the end of the day, running on a treadmill is pretty damn similar. It's actually nicer when you're starting out to run on a treadmill because it sets your pace for you. I had a problem whenever I was running this thing because I didn't know how to pace myself. Since I was on a treadmill the entire time, this is the only time when it backfired on me. I would set the pace on the treadmill and I would just follow it. But whenever I actually got on the pavement and I was setting my own pace, I ended up running like a minute faster than I usually did on the treadmill. That's weird. I didn't expect that. I probably had some adrenaline going. I was just ready to go. I wanted to do it because I was training for a while, and I guess I did better than I expected to. I just wanted to run 10-minute miles for the entire thing, and I ended up running 8:30s. Who would have thought? But that was my experience through the half marathon, and it taught me something. It taught me that you can do something even if you feel like you aren't necessarily capable of it right now. You can train for it. You can learn about it. Whatever it is that's holding you back, you can actually do it. And that's why I ended up doing it. I did it because I wanted to conquer my mind. I did it because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something that I pretty much thought was impossible for a while. I always convinced myself that I wasn't a runner, but here I am, and now I have a medal saying I got a half marathon. And truthfully, I'll probably run another one. And who knows, maybe I'll be feeling crazy one day and run a full. I could not have run a full that day. I was dead. As soon as I crossed that half line, I was just tuned out, done. I couldn't take it anymore. But who knows? I like these tasks. I like training for something. I like these mental milestones more than even physical. It's cool to say I ran at half, but it more so makes me feel good mentally since I did it. And I did something that I always told myself I couldn't. So if something's been holding you back from doing something that you're questioning, go ahead, try it, especially if it's something physical, because it'll help your mental as well. So have a great day, guys. I appreciate you guys listening, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope the audio is better for this one. I really do. I'm trying. See you guys.